with 4 planets in the sky. We can see the way that we orbit the sun. The days getting shorter, the night cooling down. Finally, autumn, this season, is starting to feel real. So today I was inspired by a very old song by Pete Seeger. And he borrowed it from an old book. And you all know that one. Turn, turn, turn. There's a time for everything under heaven. So as you contemplate the season of your life, and it may be more than one. You may be in the spring of a new project. You may be in the summer of fun, enjoying the warm, unusually warm October. You may, like the leaves, feel the fall, the letting go of the tree, the piling up in the golds and browns and oranges upon the ground. What is the season of your life? Because there's a time and a place for everything. There's a time for peace. There's a time for silence. There's the time for the noisy chaos of the world. There's a time for love. So we'll go into silence. And sometimes our minds want to chatter. You can just notice your breath. Notice your breath breathing you. Just allow it. Don't have to change it. There's nothing to fix. But if your mind should wander, you can turn to something you love. Turn to recall the season of your life. Turn to peace. 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 turn. Turn into peace. Turn into peace. Turn, turn, turn into the peace that's always inside. Turn inward. That peace and calm that is always available at the center of our being. Today and this week, just remember this place, this still place, deep inside where we touch the divine. It's always there waiting, allowing us to turn to that peaceful place that lies just a breath away. Namaste.
Now, if you have not made it here for a pre-service meditation, I'm going to just invite you to one of these days come by a little bit early and catch the pre-service meditation that starts at 10 o'clock and goes to about 10:15. Today, John Haas did that pre-service meditation. It really... Well, the reason I'm talking to you like this is because I went through the John Haas pre-service meditation. I am in the stratosphere right now. And so I'm inviting you to join us for that on any given Sunday. But you did make it to service, and that's exciting. I told this lady I had Alzheimer's, and she's like, "Oh, I don't believe you." And it's like, well, I just proved it because I forget your name. Sue, that's right, yeah. We have two speakers today, right? Tracy and Sue. I think so, yeah. Tracy and Sue, both guest speakers, or not both speaking today. So we're in for a treat on that. Also, I was here for sound check, and Kaylina Martin is our soloist today, and she's really amazing. And she has, if you like what you hear, she has two shows coming up at the Birdcage, December 8th and December 26th, Boxing Day, as they call it, and day after Christmas. And if you want more information about her whereabouts after you hear her up here, feel free to catch up with her after service, all right? So, I'm Jackson Roush. I forgot. I'm playing music for y'all today. And we're going to sing along. You may not know this, but you are now part of the Prescott CSL Tabernacle Choir. And how do you know you made the cut? Because you're here. So we're going to start off with a song that we haven't done for a minute. It's by Eddie Watkins. And if you don't know him, Eddie Watkins is an old Motown guy who recorded with, I don't know, The Temptations, Smokey Robinson, Herbie Hancock, Steve Winwood. So he's a nobody. But he joined CSL and started writing CSL-style songs. And this is one of his. It's called Anything Is Possible. And he wrote, When I Believe. You know I change words. I changed it to Because I Believe. So let's try this one on. Oh, and Bob. Bob, you know what to do. Oh, it's so cool. Everyone feels it their own way. See that? It goes like this. Well, anything is possible, 'cause I believe. That's right, we're going to say that again. Said anything is possible, 'cause I believe. Yeah, say it like you mean it. Well, faith can make a mountain move, 'cause I believe. I said faith can make a mountain move, 'cause I believe. Well, I know that I can change my life, because I believe. I know that I can change my life, because I believe in who? jazz hands. Make a miracle.
I love it. Good morning.
Good morning.
We were talking about miracles on the drive up. Like, that is amazing. And I got a cough drop from Kenny Rogers. That was a miracle because you know, Sue, what was the response?
Especially because Kenny's not with us anymore.
It's a miracle. Welcome to our center today. We are so happy to have you at Centers for Spiritual Living Prescott, where we love to have your presence. And I look at all the people. It is our annual meeting Sunday, and I am feeding you, so stick around, and we have lots to talk about, and it's going to be a good time. So more about that later. We'll meet in Sibley Hall, and we will do all of that lovely stuff. Hey, you online, thank you for joining us, eating your cereal and ice cream, and maybe you watching TV, or maybe you went to a Halloween party this weekend and you had a really good time. But here we are. Thank you so much for giving this gift to yourself, where we come and we learn about the atmosphere of thought and our own thinking, so that we can make changes in our lives to draw to us the perfect scenario for our spiritual growth, the demonstration in our lives for what brings us happiness and joy, and how to navigate the other areas in our life. We have practitioners to support. So a prayer practitioner spends a lot of years cultivating the ability to hold in their consciousness above the law of averages, to help you see the great and wonderful qualities about yourself and your life when we are going through difficulties, and also in those moments of joy, to help you navigate those moments of joy and to bring more unto you in that. They do have a 3-minute miracle of prayer after the service. So we do ask that you exit post haste in a quiet manner, so that those who are getting prayer, we honor and respect their privacy. And I would like to, if you're a practitioner and you're here today, can you stand up so everyone can see who you are? Take a look around. You know, these are the arms of the ministry, and they solidify and seat in consciousness our good. And we are so grateful for them. And those are the folks that you would see if you would like a quick prayer afterwards. Again, welcome. We're so happy you're here. We have a lovely talk for you today. We have a guest. We're doing a joint conversation today with Reverend Sue Witter. And, you know, I really appreciate it, and thank you. Let's get our Sunday started.
That the time to speak is now. There's only one thing, one power, one presence, one perfect thought that we share. When we go inside, we touch that divine. And when we do that, each of us touches each other. Because there is only that one thought, that one power that pervades all that we see and all that we cannot see. And because it is everywhere present, it is here right now with my voice, with you in your chair, with the folks out in the world that aren't even yet aware of the greatness that they are. So I know that today is a great day. We have turned to the peace within. We've demonstrated by showing up here that life is truly good. And the music, the message, all of the different moving parts that have made this day possible have occurred, and we each get to enjoy it and get out of it exactly what we want. So I know the truth of this, and I'm so grateful. And so I say, let it be done, because it is already so. And we can anchor that with, and so it is.
This is a Darius Lux song. We were lucky enough to have him living here in Prescott for a little while. He is long gone now, living in Los Angeles. But he taught me this song, and it sums it up. It's called Choose Love. Sing it with me. So many choices in the world today. Too many things will blow your mind. Sounds so good. And if you're needing just a simple truth to see you on your way, remember, choose love. Choose love, choose love, and keep on shining a light. Choose love, choose love, choose love, and keep on shining a light. Choose love. Life is a game that we're all free to play. You can hold it down, let it breathe. And if you're looking for a simple song to sing you on your way, together you choose love. Choose love, choose love, you choose love, and keep on shining the light. You choose love, choose love, you choose love, and keep on shining the light. You choose love. Choose love, you choose love, and keep on shining a light. You choose love, you choose love, choose love, and keep on shining a light. Choose love.
I was inspired today by one of my really lovely books called The Book of Awakening. If you don't know it, I recommend it. Mark Nepo. And one of the sayings was so nice, I said, I have to use that. Be content with what you have. Be content. Rejoice in the way things are. when you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. The whole world belongs to you. Famous words by Lao Tzu. So today we're going to take a moment here to think about all that is in your life. Feel your breath and notice your life and all that you have now. The whole world is yours. Breathe it in. Can I get the candle lighters to come up? The Center for Spiritual Living Prescott, guided by the science of mind, acknowledges the diverse faiths and traditions that enrich our world. Each belief system offers a distinct understanding of the mysteries of existence and a unique connection with the divine. Lighting these candles symbolizes our collective reverence for the diverse paths humans take in search of meaning and purpose. In this shared moment, we affirm and celebrate the multiplicity of the human experience. We light a candle for Christianity based on the teachings of Jesus the Christ, who taught the path of love, forgiveness, and healing by the presence within. For Islam and its teaching and belief in the one and only God, creator of the heaven and the earth. For Judaism, a community of shared laws, traditions, and family ties which began with a covenant between Abraham and God. For Buddhism, the middle path of non-attachment that ends suffering. For Hinduism, the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. For all the traditions of indigenous people everywhere and their close and sacred connections to the earth, sky, and her waters. For Baha'i, the path of unity and peace. For all the goddess traditions celebrating the power and wisdom of the feminine energies, including nature and nurture. And of course, for the science of mind, a philosophy of life that teaches there is a power for good in the universe, and we can use it. Thank you. And let's anchor that with our own affirmation. I am here for God. My purpose is to express the nature of God as love, abundance, and joy in everything we do. The good I seek for myself is what I want for all people everywhere. And so it is.
When times of trouble come around, first check to see my feet are flat on the ground before I start running circles around. Well, try as I might when I'm headed north, the universe comes and throws me off that course in the direction I'm supposed to go. How was I to know? So I learned my lessons like I learned to read. Slow up your horses, it's easy to see. Universe cares for the ones that try. Open yourself up, the universe provides. met my friends and the people I know by the sheer chance of the ebb and the flow. I'm grateful for the graces the universe has shown. Here in a prime, I'm ready to grow. If it's this good now, imagine later when we stop worrying about how we could make things better. 'Cause baby, I haven't had it good like this. I'm excited for the life I'm destined to live. Having the said and all is said and done, let me try to explain where we often go wrong. Live in this moment, people find hardest. It's all relative to where your mind is. To where your mind is. If you're negative, want nothing to do with it. 'Cause this is my life, I love living this. And all the people that live in it are genuinely, positively optimistic. So I'm inviting you to I met my friends, the people I know, by the sheer chance of the ebb and the flow. I'm grateful for the graces the universe has shown. Here in a prime and I'm ready to grow. If it's this good now, imagine later when we stop worrying about how we could make things better. 'Cause baby, I haven't had it good like this. I'm excited for the life I'm destined to live. So excited. I just can't hide this no more.
The microphone on there works if you want to. Is it on?
Can't take me anywhere. Good morning. My name is Reverend Sue Witter, and I am hopefully can be considered a very dear friend of Tracy's, and she and I have been working together to help create a beautiful flow for your annual business meeting coming up immediately after the service and lunch. So I am grateful that she asked me to come and join her for the service, and we're going to do a little dialogue with you. But first, I want to talk to you about what both is the theme for the business meeting and in general for this talk today, and that's lesson from the aspen trees. So who of you know anything about aspen trees? Do you know that they are considered the world's largest living organism? That there is a place, can we shoot up to the next, do we have more or just that one? That's the only one we got, okay. You just, like I said, you can't take me anywhere. So there is a what is considered to be a aspen forest that is one tree in Utah, the largest one, and it's called the pando tree. And that pando is Latin for I spread. And aspen trees are amazing because they can have thousands of individual trees that come up from the ground, but they have one root system. They have one shared root system. And that one aspen tree can share roots with another tree as far as 40 yards away. Now think about football. 40 yards. You got somebody in football who cranks at 40 yards, you think, hot diggity dog. Not what I was going to say, but I'm trying to be good. And And so it's important to look at the fact that this extensive root system actually becomes the genetic makeup of all of the trees in this forest is identical. It's one tree that has thousands, literally thousands of individualizations. And that really is us, right? We are like an aspen tree. And it is sometimes called one aspen tree. This is only one small part of a larger organism. And together, all of this is considered a forest of one tree. And I think that that's just a beautiful way to look at life. It is a forest of one tree. So what does that mean to us? And for me, Tracy and I were talking on the way up, it's fun for me. I usually don't have an hour and a half of uninterrupted time, where the phone isn't ringing and a spouse or a child or a coworker or somebody isn't going, wait, stop, I need to interrupt you. So for us, it was delightful to talk about this concept of oneness, and we were talking a lot about that. What does that mean to be a forest of one tree? And how does that apply to us? And I think that the concept of oneness is one of the hardest lessons that we teach. And so really that's what Tracy and I want to share a little bit about today. So what does oneness mean to you?
So oneness to me is the ever-present creative force. Some call it God, some call it the great creator, that is present in each one of us. And it isn't any different in you than it is in me. And it's hard to understand that because when life gets in the way, we forget our oneness. We forget. When I have a problem with you or you have a problem with me, our atmosphere of thought goes out the window. But when we sit and contemplate the unity or the oneness, is just like this. It's the many with the one root structure, with the one thing that's the same in all of us. And what I believe about our philosophy is that we're cultivating the atmosphere of thought to be focused on the root system, the one cause, the one creative intelligence, as opposed to the problem or the world or the objective world. So to me, that oneness is that ever-present, loving, harmonious root structure that gives birth to all individuality.
Mine's pretty similar, but for me, one of the interesting things about the concept of oneness, for me, it's probably the most complex and simple at the same time thing that we teach. Because sometimes actually in this room, right, it's pretty easy for us to look around, and if you're showing up here, you probably have a lot of similarities to the people who are showing up here, and beliefs that are showing up here. So it's really easy to look around and go, yes, I'm one with these people. Now, we are rolling through an interesting time in the world where many people want us to focus on our differences as opposed to our similarities. So one of the things that I was stunned by was the first time I heard somebody say, and it depends on which research you're reading, but anywhere from 99 to 95% of our DNA in our bodies is the same as every other living human on the planet. We look different, we sound different, our genders are different, our color is different, our eye color. There's everything that you look at and you go, we can't have let's just go between 95 and 99. So you can't have 97% exact DNA that I do, but we do. Biologically, we do. And so for me, it's to remember that even though sometimes we look different, we sound different, we act different, we think differently, we at our core, at our very fundamental level, have more in common than we do differences. And it is so easy to get caught up in the personality of it all, rather than to say, My job here is to look past that and to look for where we stand and have common ground. It's interesting to me that if you read Holmes in his first book from 1919, I think it was published, he talks about all of the discord and disharmony in the world. And if you read all of the New Thought writers, one of my favorite books is called In the Flow of Life by Eric Butterworth, and he talks about in this difficult time, when the world is in such turmoil, and everybody say, in this difficult time where there is so much turmoil and we are so focused on our differences. So looking at being willing to say, how can I look for our commonness? How can I look for what we have the same? I believe that we all want to be loved. We all want to be happy. We all want to feel safe. We just have a million different ways of getting there. Pema Chodron, who's one of my favorite teachers, says, everyone wants peace. We just have dramatically different ways of thinking how you should get there. So for me, that's what oneness is about, is to being willing to step back and say, where can I find our commonness, our togetherness, as opposed to our separateness? Because the truth is, just like an aspen forest, there are thousands and thousands of individualized trees. Mm-hmm. And one interesting thing about them is that when one on the surface begins to die or is sick, new sprouts come up from the roots, not from seeds, but from the roots. So it's a willingness to open up your heart and your mind and say, am I willing to see this differently? One of my most commonly prayed prayers is, Lord, help me to see this differently. I often say when I'm in conflict, we'll say, with someone, I will often say, please God, let me be wrong. Just let me be wrong. I know how to be wrong. It stinks, but I can do it. I am hell on wheels when I think I'm right. And I think most of us are that way, right? It's like, I'm right. Just let me explain to you. Let me just explain to you why I'm right. Because, well, I am, of course. So it's that process. It's that process of looking, being willing to look for the similarities. So one of the other things we talked about on the way up were some of the difficult concepts for us to understand. So what do you think are some of the hardest things that that are most frequently misinterpreted is really how I look at it?
Well, we talked about oneness, and remind me, because
So one of them was the concept of accountability, largely.
Yes,
being responsibility for yourself versus blaming yourself.
Yeah.
Why am I creating this?
So I think it's, using the, that we all come here and, well, I mean, we talked about so many things, but we talked about how in our philosophy we can say, you created this. And that's not a very nice way when someone's going through a difficulty to talk about, you created this. But more, we talked about the law of averages and how consciously, when something's going on with us, how our atmosphere of thought draws unto us that which we experience to show us that there's a discordant thought that we're thinking. And we have a tendency to go out through our thinking and our blame to go out into the objective world. And so sometimes in our philosophy, I know it's been hard for me. I don't necessarily apply it to others, but I apply it to myself. Now, how did I create this? How did I get here? And it can really create frustration within myself, because then I'm going around trying to change Tracy instead of looking for the discordant thought and trusting Spirit to step into the flow to show me that and so much more. So I think that is one of the harder concepts. We also talked about, when we're going through illness and some of these things that we experience, how it is very important when the law of attraction kind of blew up in what?
The Secret?
The
Whatever
Secret,
that was.
The Secret blew up, and it really said, you know, it talked to, because the law of attraction really does support our philosophy, but we really have to be careful not to use it to blame ourselves, right? That there's fault. We talked about fault,
Yeah.
right? And that it's your fault that you're sick, or your fault that you lost your house, or it's your fault that you lost your job, and it's really not. Fault is not the idea that Ernest Holmes had. Responsibility is the idea that Ernest Holmes had. And I guess I didn't tell you, but you know, Sue and I have known each other for a very, very long time. She was one of my teachers and practitioners. She's been my spiritual mentor. At West Valley, where we attended together, she's known as my spiritual interpreter. So she takes some of my ideas that I am still working on and are somewhat simplified for me, and she expands on them. So, but we really talked about this idea of fault, and that we are all where we are supposed to be, and that it's the thinking mind that creates the idea of fault. But there is no fault. We are where we are at by way of consciousness. You want to expand on that?
Yeah. So for me, you know, it's interesting. I have a very well-worn path in my neural pathways, and it's called bad Sue, bad Sue, bad Sue, because it's so easy to get caught up in blame. And our brains are literally hardwired to look for where there's a problem. And rather than, and it's a fine line. I mean, how do you draw that space between where am I accountable for my piece of this puzzle and where am I not? And it's challenging to be able to say, there's a piece that's mine. There's a belief that I hold, or there's a behavior that's habitual, or there's an idea that and frequently a lot of our beliefs are somebody else's good idea for us. That's one of the biggest questions one of my teachers asked me when we were working through letting go of some old, identifying and letting go of some old ideas. Whose voice do you hear in your head when you hear that? Behind yours, because we make it ours eventually. But is it your mom, your dad, your first minister, a teacher, a spouse, whoever it may be, that we go, yeah, that's true about me. So to be able to look and say, there is a piece of me that's accountable for my choices. It's not the same as bad Sue, bad Sue, bad Sue. That tells me I'm wrong, it tells me I'm stupid, it tells me I'm not enough at some level, whatever it may be. But rather to go, oh, look, here's a belief that I have. So I'll give you a real life one that Reverend Karen pointed out to me just a week or so ago. I have said for a long time, my body will give me what I refer to as a warning shot across the bow. You know, in ocean ship battle, it's like the warning shot comes out. And if I don't pay attention to it, it's usually because I'm doing 150 things more than I should. I've said yes to too many things. My body will get sick because I don't listen to the warning shot. And she looked at me and she went, one day I will get you to stop saying that. I will convince you that you don't have to believe that. Mm-hmm. And I went, I'll have to chew on that one for a while. Yeah. Because I realized what a strongly held belief it was.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for me it was like when when you're young and you're trying to get the attention of your parents, and then, my brother had spinal meningitis when he was little, was in the hospital, and my sister followed. And we were in Spain, and I remember just being sat in the lobby saying, sit here, don't move. And you want your parents' attention, so you learn to be sick, to get attention, And it's a strongly held belief, and I married someone who is lovely, but he doesn't give a lot of attention to being sick. He's like, I gotta go to work, drink some soup. So one of my earliest lessons was, how do I take care of myself, and how do I cultivate the attention that little person needs? Mm-hmm. But it was a belief that took a long time for me to see, because it really weaved through the idea of victimization and being what people need and versus, who are you? And we talked a little bit about this. And the idea of what does this have to do with aspen trees in the community is that we are a collective, and we are looking into 2025 to build a very strong, solid root structure based in the science of mind principles to really hold us as individuals all living our own lives without blame, shame, guilt, and to honor each other where we're at, but to really maintain that root structure. And when one of us is having difficulty, or I was telling Sue, I love the idea of when, maybe it was Africa, or I can't remember what country we talked about, where when one person is having a problem, they surround them with love. And sometimes they just can't handle that much love and energy coming towards them, and it makes them kind of balk. And I go, well, what do you do if they keep leaving the circle? And you said you keep letting them back in. And that's really a hard thing for our minds, our thinking minds that want to say, well, go ahead, leave, or, I'm not chasing you down, or, we want, my vision for the future is to create a community that is connection. And the aspen trees represent connection. And we want to use the philosophy, right? Because this is what we're all here, is the science of mind philosophy, to build that strength root system to support this center and all the activities that we do, and to allow spirit to be in the flow of it. And we all have personal experiences in our lives that we all found our way here for a reason, right? We all found our way to science of mind for a reason, and the responsibility is being willing to look at ourselves. And I really like the idea of the penetrator, and please you can quantify this or expand on it, of the atmosphere of thought. And the atmosphere of thought is where our attention goes, and it's what's drawn to us unwillingly or willingly, so that we can say when something shows up that this isn't my fault. It's like, oh, what is my atmosphere of thought? What is the mental equivalent? What is the objective manifestation of how, like Adya would say, your orientation towards life? Can you talk more about that?
So for me, it's interesting to look at one of the things that Pema Chodron talks a lot about is, where do we put our allegiance? Do we put our allegiance with what's not working or what's working? And it's so easy. It's a neural pathway that I think that's easier to go, this isn't working, right? Rather than to try to make that jump. And so one of her challenges to people is to say, where do you put your allegiance? And are you willing to shift your allegiance from shame, blame, what's not working, what's wrong, what's bad, to seeing a higher, greater good? And the atmosphere of thought is, so one of the things, so part of the conversation was, one of the things that I think that we have a tendency to misinterpret in this philosophy has to do with, why are you creating this? And the fact that we're so quick to blame ourselves or someone else for it, rather than saying, there's a piece of this puzzle that's mine. But also then to be able to step even farther back and say, what have I created in my thought process? Not just one thought. How often have you heard in this philosophy somebody said, this is just killing me? And somebody goes, oh, don't say that. Don't say it's killing you. It's like, yeah, probably not my best word choice. And yeah, it might be good for me to look at that. But the truth is that I can say this is killing me one time, and it isn't, I'm not gonna die. It's not like a lightning bolt's gonna come from the sky and slam me down, or I'm gonna have a heart attack in that moment in time. We get so caught up in almost a fear and superstition based that we aren't willing to say, it's not that one time I say, this is just killing me. It is the atmosphere of thought. It's the number of times. It's how I look at life. It's how I look at what's going on around me that I create this soup that I swim in. The atmosphere of thought. The atmosphere of my thought is what determines, not what one individual word, which is why we teach class here, right? Because we teach This is about repetition. This is about learning to change. This is about being kind to yourself when you go back to an old belief and then make it choose again. Most powerful thing we teach, I think, is choice. And I don't have to beat myself up for my bad choice. I don't have to blame you for my bad choice, although that's much more fun, right? Is it not? I mean, it's a lot of fun to go.
It brings an instant gratification.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
For short term.
That's
short
right.
term. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then you go, oh, I shouldn't have said that, and then you worry about that.
Right.
And then you're like, should I say something? And then you worry about that. Yeah. Yeah.
So the process of being able to not try to shame and blame, but to just open your heart and say, I am human. It's a part of the human experience. There are times that I do make some less than stellar choices, shall we say. And I'm known at work to say, okay, you guys, I'm sorry. I'm starting the day out this way. I have my grumpy pants on. I tried to change them before I left for work, and I failed. So I have my grumpy pants on, and I apologize. Do not listen to what I say. Do not take it personally. This is not meant to be mean, unkind. This is just me being grumpy. And so I will give you a blanket apology for the day if I am an itch on wheels.
And Sue, like, I think it's interesting because you're the one that helped me with the story of you measuring your own barometer. When the barometer is lower, and you know how you become your own facilitator of your atmosphere of thought, right? And that when the outside world might be reflecting back this idea, without making it, again, blame or shame, right? We were talking about, I was picking up Luke from daycare, and one of these teachers were coming in with this little boy, and he says to the little boy, thank you for listening. And then he says, because I know how hard it is for you. And I thought, you're not teaching my kid. Like, I don't know. That's not happening. And so I could hear it, and I was telling Sue, because I could hear that in my spirit, I knew that there was something inside of me, because you can't hear what you haven't experienced. And I was asking her, what is a different way? What am I, because it keeps reflecting and spinning in my mind that it's not so much what the teacher said, but what I heard and how I processed it from my own atmosphere of thought. And I said to her, what is a different way of saying that? And she so simplistically said, you need to flip it around. You know, I know we've talked about the fact that you struggle with listening. And you did so well with that. Well done. Because otherwise what you hear is, you did really well with listening, loser. Right.
Right? When it comes at the end, that's the last, it's like, you did really well this time, loser.
Yeah.
And so
it really reminded me of when I was in school, and you struggle with certain things, and bless my parents, like, you know, but they can only be what they are, right? And so we recognize that there's a communication style in our atmosphere of thought, and there's the way we deliver messages. And if something is striking you as odd, we often want the other person to change their behavior. And part of this work is looking at this. So I have been letting this mull around. I talked to my teacher Tom about it, and he's like, well, you know, he kind of gave his opinion, and I'm like, nope, that's still not what I'm looking for. And so when we drove up, and I go, that's it, appreciation. Right? We all want to be appreciated for the things that we bring. It doesn't mean that we get everything that we want. It doesn't mean that everything's going to go our way. But we all like for people to understand that we are all people. We have difficulties. And if we're going to talk about the difficulties, because you also said there was another part to that of being invited into the conversation, I think it was, right?
Because to say it the way I originally said it is, I had to have had a conversation with you. You know, we had to have had a conversation about the fact that you struggle with listening. If we have never had that conversation, it still can't be the thing that is at the end that says loser. It's, you know, in my observation, sometimes it seems like you struggle with listening. And boy, I can tell, you know, you're so committed to trying to expand and strengthen who you really are. It was well done. So you can even make an observation. How you make that observation from a base of loving kindness or a base of judgment. And judgment is so easy to fall into. It's actually kind of our brain is hardwired for that. But I think one of the things we teach that's so beautiful is that it's our job to be aware, to listen to what we think, to listen to what we say.
Self-aware.
Right, self-aware. And sometimes we're not aware until it's already come out of our mouth. And sometimes it's not until we get, home or next week or next month before we go, ooh, I could have done that better, huh?
And then not to be difficult with ourselves or beat ourselves up, and to be so sometimes these situations are medicine for our growth, our spiritual growth.
Right.
Yeah.
So the work of Kristen Neff is fabulous work, and she talks about self-compassion. And one of the things that her exercises about self-compassion is to speak to yourself the way you would speak to someone that you love about the same issue. And so I will say sometimes to myself, you should stop being so mean to my friend Sue. That was a very nasty thing to say to her. And Tracy and I were having some conversation recently, and I finally went over and I went, please stop being so mean to my friend Tracy. And because we say things and we don't even hear it a lot of times. And a beauty of this philosophy, because we are constantly saying, go within and listen and look and see how you could see things differently. Like I said, my most common prayer, Lord, help me to see this differently. The other thing we talked about that I dearly love is the concept of the law of averages. So I remember my first roots class I taught, there was a woman who went, look, here's my big beef with your philosophy. It's always a good lead into the conversation, don't you think? I went, what is that, Shannon? And she said, this whole everybody's at choice and they choose what's happening in their life. She said, there is not there's not a woman in the world who chooses to be raped. There's no one who chooses to be beaten or stabbed or shot. It's just not something that people go, sign me up. That's what I want today. I'd like someone to come and shoot me. No, we don't. And in that very week, we were on the Troward section, and Troward talks about the law of averages. If we are not conscious, awake, and aware, and making high choices, then we simply are in the flow of the collective consciousness. We are in the flow of race consciousness, and in the flow of race consciousness, X percentage of people go bankrupt. X percent of the people become millionaires. X percent get robbed. X percent get mugged. X percent get whatever. We are simply in that flow. But by being conscious, we rise above it. And so for me, the biggest question I ask myself if something is happening that I don't particularly like the outcome is, what can I do to just simply raise above the law of averages, raise above the race consciousness, rather than bad Sue, bad Sue, bad Sue. Although frequently that comes out and then I go, oh, wait.
Yeah. Or use our circumstances to
Right.
stay in the same place, right?
Right.
Because if we don't, look at our circumstances as medicine, and usually I really feel like certain circumstance occurred I call it to put us back on the path home, right? And I know we are growing short on time, so what I wanted to know as we wrap up, Sue, in this lesson with aspen trees and the things that we talked about, can you somewhat tie them together on why we presented this to the community? How come we did this dual talk, and what it means for us collectively as a group that we are growing into, for our vision for the future that we want to grow into?
So first of all, I will say come to the business meeting, because we're going to talk a lot, but we're going to pull a lot of things together with what the past year has looked like and what the next year will look like. But there's a little set of papers that we'll give out at the end that has some of the big lessons that a lot of different sites have. And there are two of them that are really important to me that wraps it up. One is its resilience through the collective. They are resilient because this root system is so big, and that one tree that dies doesn't kill the whole forest. We are resilient together. We support each other together. And then unity, cooperation, and generosity is a part of what it means to have that united root structure. And so even if there are times when we're unkind to ourselves, or we don't like the outcomes or what's going on, or at times when it's great, but it's that collective experience. You know, you talked about when you describe practitioners that they're there to support you when things aren't going well, but they're also there to support you when things are going well. And people forget, go to a practitioner when things rock. I'm serious. Go to a practitioner when things rock. Because if for any of you ever watched gymnastics, I'm just going to bring the geek in me out now, but in trampolining, when you're learning, there's a coach or a spotter who will push down on the trampoline so that it will give you a bigger bounce. That's what we do collectively. That's what we do as practitioners. Because Tracy said, practitioners stand up. I stood up because every minister is a practitioner first, and we remain one. But yeah, that process of saying, I can't talk and sit still. I think it's genetically impossible for me. Sorry. You can't take me
I was
anywhere.
going to give you permission to get up because I know this about you.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So for me, it's understanding that this is what we do, that tree, that forest of one tree, that collective root system, that's who we are for each other. And if we're willing to spend our time expanding our ideas, we expand each other's ideas as well.
And we rise above.
And we rise above the law of averages by definition because we are making conscious, awake, and aware choices.
Yeah. And then our future becomes bright with promise.
Right.
Which will be our theme rolling into 2025. That we are bright with promise and that everything we need is already here. And stepping into the flow, as you said, it's just learning to step in the flow and get out of resistance. Well, we did have this conversation, and I know we had to wrap it up, so we could talk about it another time. But once you realize in your resistance, we talked about how hard it is sometimes to get out of resistance because we have to ask ourselves, what box am I standing on? Do I want to be right? Do I want to understand? And once you realize you're resistant, the thinking mind in its nature does not want to, just because you realize it doesn't mean it wants to give up the fight, right? So sometimes it's really hard, but that's why we come back to our philosophy, we ground ourselves in spiritual principles, and we allow the flow to move us back in. And with grace, the community that is one structure, we begin to move and have our being as one unit. And we figure out ways to handle those difficulties that always come up in experiences with one another.
So I'm going to read you the quote, for the Bright with Promise quote.
Okay.
It is from the Science of Mind textbook, page 246. There'll be a test. Sorry. I see that the future is bright with promise. It beckons me forward into a more complete realization of my own worth and my rightful place in the universe. I look to the future with great and pleasurable anticipation, knowing it will expand my opportunity for radiant self-expression. I love my past and my future and understand that there are but continuations of the one unbroken chain of life. There is no future to be afraid of and no past to bring discord into the present.
Nice. And Sue, would you wrap us in prayer?
All right. So as we come together here today, I give thanks. I give thanks for this magnificent community of people who have come together to allow their minds and their souls to be expanded in this day. They have come together in love for this community. They have come together with a commitment to see who they are in this moment and to see that bright with promise future. That in this moment and in every moment, there is a kindness and love and compassion and wisdom and understanding that exists within this community, that are the root structure of this community, that allows the nutrients to be shared with each and every person here. And that out of that commitment to come together in that space of love and kindness and compassion, that in that space, the world shifts. both inside and outside, the world shifts. And knowing that we have this common root structure and we can come together in support of each other, that is the gift. That is the promise for the future. So I know that as we go forward with this day and every day, that we do so with open hearts and minds, that we are willing to see things differently, that we are willing to see that bright promised future as being that which comes into fruition in our life. So I give thanks for this day, and I release it out into that synchronicity that is both love and law, knowing that indeed the universe has already said yes. And so it is.
And so it is.
Sing this with me.
Will we let the love wash over us? We
around you. It is that time in the service where we will talk about giving and the gifts of spirit and time, talent, and treasures. And Clay, can we put up the affirmation? Is it that time? Yeah. So I am so deeply grateful for all of you, and I do welcome the ushers to circulate, and we'll read this during that process if you want to read that with me. Divine love in and through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive. Thank you, life.
before it rests along or in the river's banks. Too long a fall for my eyes to see. I just thank God this fall is not for me. No, I thank God this fall is not for me. So as this awakened excitement, yes, I feel there's something rising. There's a fluttering of wings that I knew not could span. The indescribable moments I find here in your grace, it only exists when I go ahead, honey, and I reach for your hand. So reach out, please just reach out, baby. All you got to do is just reach to me, and I promise I could help you stand in your darkest hour of need. So reach out, please just reach out, baby. All you got to do is reach to me, and I swear this love of mine will set you free. So reach out, come on baby, please, won't you reach out, reach to me, and I swear I could help you stand in your darkest hour of need. So reach out, come on baby, reach out, all you got to do is reach to me, and I swear this love of mine will set you free. Oh, yes, this love of mine, it's gonna set you free. So come away from the edge. Oh, you beg of me. Come and live this life by my side. Won't you hold tight to my hand in your hour of need? For my love, it's gonna set you free. Oh, yes, this love of mine, it will set you free. So as this awakened excitement, yes, I feel there's something rising in the fluttering of wings that I knew I could span. The indescribable moments I find here in your grace, it only exists when I go ahead, honey, and I reach for your hand. So reach out, come on baby, reach out. All you got to do is reach to me, and I promise I could help you stand in your darkest hour of need. So reach out, please just reach out, baby. All you got to do, reach to me, I swear this love of mine will set you free. Oh, yes, there's a love of mine, it might just set you free.
That was beautiful. Okay, yeah, homage, that was beautiful. Wasn't that amazing? Oh my gosh, it is that time that, anyway, I've lost myself because that song was really beautiful. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't interrupt you all. Well, I probably interrupt you all the time, but I'm just going to say, I think we can all collectively appreciate the aspen tree that presents itself as Kaylina Martin.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm just
Yes.
reminding you that she does have, it's just a reminder, because I know a lot of
Kaylee and Mark.
Powerful stuff happened here today. Just a quick reminder, December 8th and December 26th, you can hear her again at the Birdcage
Ooh.
in downtown Prescott.
All right. Yeah, and please come back to see us soon. Do you have CDs and? Okay, well, we got to fix that for you somehow. I don't know. We're going to put that into the law of receiving. Come down here with me. We are going to treat for that one because I want to put that in my car.
Yeah, you do have them or you don't have them yet?
Not yet.
I don't have any right now.
Yeah, right. So we're going to talk to you about that. Spotify? Okay. See, there's always a way. See. All right, Sue, do you mind praying over the gifts for us?
Okay, so right here, right now, in this exquisite community, I know that every gift that's been given has been given with an open heart and an open mind, and that this community exercises the highest level of stewardship with every gift that's received, and that it blesses and multiplies each and every person for both their giving and the receiving, and that as this community receives, the giver gets back. So I give thanks for all of this, knowing that the abundance that is here is pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. So I give thanks knowing that it is good. So it is.
So it is. Thank you, Sue. All right, people back. After you. And now, Miss Kathleen. There we go.
Thank you, Jackson.
You're welcome.
Good morning. If you are new to the center this morning, or you're visiting for the first time, or perhaps you're returning, we'd love to welcome you. So if you're comfortable, would you please stand, tell us who you are and where you're from? Yes. Welcome. Welcome. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Kind of returning to this area, the Converted Valley is more where I'm familiar with, so this is kind of new, so my first time here.
Wonderful.
And not new to science, my CSL.
Welcome. Yes.
I'm Darla, this is my first time here, and it was wonderful, thank you, learned everything, and I'm not new to science of Vermont, I've haven't been involved in it for a long time, so this was great, and I live here in Prescott.
Wonderful.
And my name is Gail, and I was here before, and I've come to the end of the year service of Active Community, that we work together on the end of the year, beginning of the new year meditation and prayer, which is very powerful. And I'm also training tomorrow.
Wonderful.
Good morning, everyone. I am Sierra, and I just love this. Thank you so much for having me. I was interested. This is my first time here.
Welcome. That's wonderful to have you back, to be new here, and we hope you come back again. After service, I invite you to browse the bookstore and find the section of previously owned, gently read, and much loved books. Find the one that tugs at your heart and take it home with you. Make it your own, and then join the rest of us in Sibley Hall for Salad Sunday. Also, our annual meeting will follow, I think, here in the sanctuary. We're going to do it in Sibley Hall. In Sibley Hall. And once more, I mentioned Thanksgiving Day dinner. If you plan to attend, please sign up in the lobby and tell us what you're going to bring so that you can round out our dinner of turkey and ham. A grief support group will be meeting starting on Sunday, November the 10th, through Sunday, December the 22nd. Practitioner Sabrina Johnson will be facilitating this very special few weeks for us. If you are in need, please see Sabrina after service for questions and any concerns. Yes, Sabrina. And if you're looking for an opportunity to serve and support the center in a very select way, consider joining the Love and Light team. You would be greeting those attending the service, and also act as a candle lighter. The duties rotate so you have an opportunity to serve in love and joy. They meet monthly for lunch and conversation on the first Monday of each month. This circle or team is going through its own evolution right now, and I ask that when I mention your name, would you please stand until I ask you to be seated. Claire LaPlume, Pearl Goodman, who have served many years in this circle, Kay Krizek, who has led this circle equally as many years. All three are retiring. And Sonia Marie will be taking the place of Kay. Thank you all for, you're wonderful. You may be seated. Thank you. November 17th is our annual Taizé service. There will be no pre-service meditation. And lastly, Jackson, you would know this. You know the song we sing, One Power?
I do.
It was written and performed by Daniel Naiman.
Correct.
And on Sunday, November the 3rd at Unity Prescott at 1 p.m. in the sanctuary, he will be there performing. So tickets are $20. I'm not sure. Do you get those at the door? Do you know?
Unity. Yeah, at Unity, correct.
At Unity, okay. Okay, so if you wish to it, if you, at 1 o'clock.
Time enough for you to come here first and then go there.
Good point.
If you have not ever experienced him and his music, he is really quite a remarkable man, and his concerts are extraordinary.
Wonderful, thank you. And now, let's welcome the awesome children from the association. Thank you.
Hello. Today we talked about authentic power and how we each have a different type of power inside of us. And we read about Gustavo the Ghost and his power to play the violin and how that made him some friends.
Wow, okay.
So yeah, and
Do you want to share your picture?
I made this.
Oh, it's so beautiful. What is it?
But one says be a cooperative.
Oh, I like cooperation. Wow, thank you.
Another one I had to have him put on there was polite, because he's polite.
You are. Thank you. Thank you so much. And here we go. Please stand and let's read our affirmation. Are we ready? Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is happening through my body, my affairs. I think it, I believe it,